PM, Stephanie Bailey versus William Roth, Attorney Schaefer for plaintiff, and Attorney Greenlee Core for defendant.
Good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon.
Court will note that this matter is before the court for an evidentiary hearing on plaintiff's motion for change in custody and defendant's motion for contempt. Mr. Schaefer, you ready to proceed?
Ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Ms. Greenlee Clark, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer, you wish to make an opening statement or proceed to proofs?
I wish to make an opening statement, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, you have before you a situation where there's a minor child of 14 years who is the subject to this matter. And the history of this is such that the child has gone back and forth between the parents over the years. But the current matter is that the child was living with the father and visiting the mother in the spring and summer of 2023. And the child at that point in time expressed to the mother that he was being abused with his father. And as a result of that, there came a temporary order where the child was to remain with the mother and then finish out the summer week on, week off, and be returned to the father. But the circumstance is such that we believe there has been a change in circumstance due to the of the father toward the child. In addition to that, the child is afraid to go with the father. In addition to that, the child has refused to go to the father in relation to this. And based on those circumstances, we are suggesting that the physical custody should be changed to plaintiff. From a practical standpoint, the child has been with the mother since May of 2023 and has been continuously with her during that time period, has had maybe seen his father maybe one time during that almost 1 year. And we suggest that there is an established custodial environment with the mother and the child, and that needs to be ruled on by the judges to the custodial environment. And we are suggesting that, in fact, the child be awarded to the mother for physical custody. The long and the short of this is that we have a 14-year-old child who refuses to go with his dad. He has given the reasons, and I submit the reasons, and expressed those to his mother. And as a result of that, that's why we are here a year later dealing with this problem. We're asking that, in fact, the physical custody be changed to the mother. In relation to the contempt petition, we are submitting that the defendant was not in contempt. She has presented as well as she can the child to follow the order, but the child will not cooperate, will not go, is fearful of his father, and will not go with his father. And we are submitting that she is not in contempt of court and she comply with the order. At the end of this, we're going to ask that the court determine that there has been a change in circumstances, that the custodial environment currently is with the mother, and that she should be awarded the physical custody of the minor child. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Greenlee Clark, do you wish to make an opening statement, waive your opening statement, or reserve your opening statement?
We are just briefly looking at the procedural history of this case. Mr. Schaefer is making several misrepresentations. This minor child was willingly given to Miss Bailey after an incident in father's home, and she's changed that into a whole year of withholding this minor child. This court can look back at all the orders, at all the time she was ordered to return this child. In fact, the order after the hearing, September 11th, clearly indicates that if the child is not delivered to father, that the plaintiff shall turn herself over to the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department, and she hasn't done so. She's still sitting here today. We're looking at a whole year of her lying to this court, disregarding this court's orders, flaunting this court's orders, and misrepresenting what's going on. At this point in time, the last time we were in court, well, 2 times ago, she indicated that there was a police investigation and a CPS investigation, and there was no way she could possibly return Caden to father while these were ongoing. However, that was a lie. That wasn't true. And then this last time in October, this court then ordered an FOC investigation because mother still claimed that these investigations were allegedly ongoing. So now these parties were involved in counseling and involved in an FOC investigation. And the FOC investigation, this court should take judicial notice of, clearly indicates that this minor child should be moved or taken back to his father's home. We're not here on a change in circumstances. We're here on a show cause, essentially, or motion to hold mother in contempt of violating this court's orders repeatedly, not just once or twice, but repeatedly. She's been ordered to return this child to father. She's now caused irreparable damage to this child by withholding this child for a year. This child was an honor roll student in Allegan Public Schools. He's now doing miserably in Battle Creek schools with mother. And she's damaged this minor child's relationship with father to an extent that we can't even fully look at because mother's still denying his parenting time. Father has been seeing this child in counseling, as FOC indicated, and he does intend to continue that. But at this point in time, given mother's behavior, it would be appropriate that her parenting time be completely suspended until father is able to reconnect with his child. This child be returned to his care and returned to Allegan schools as this court ordered. I want to be clear, this court did order that this child remain in Allegan Public Schools, and mother disregarded that and enrolled him in Battle Creek, and that my client be provided with the attorney fees he's incurred over the last year with all of the legal wrangling that's gone on. There's no open CPS investigation. There's no open police investigation. In fact, the original reasons why mother had her temporary order granted were that allegedly father was going to be subjecting this minor child to these investigations. When then, if you read the FOC report, she turned around and reported him and had the child interviewed. So none of her reasoning holds water at this point. She's trying to pull straws out of thin air to keep this child, and at this point has willfully violated these orders, and we intend to show that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer, you can call your first witness.
I'll call Stephanie Bailey to the stand. And where does Caden live at the present time?
With me in my home.
And what's the address of your home?
6.
And how old?
He is 14.
And where does Caden go to school?
In middle school.
And how is he doing there?
He is doing pretty well.
Okay. When did Caden come to live with you this last time?
In May.
Of what year?
2023.
And has he been with you ever since May of 2023?
Yes.
Has he seen his father during that time period?
Only at the FOC, when we did the FOC investigation, and then at counseling.
And where is he in counseling at the present time?
He is in counseling in Kalamazoo. It's Kalamazoo for, he sees Christina.
Okay. And are you participating in that counseling?
Yes.
And is Mr. Roth participating in that counseling?
Yes.
And have you attempted to have Caden go back to his father pursuant to various orders since May?
Yes, I have.
And what have you done in that regard?
The first time they came here to pick up Caden, I let Caden know when they were on their way here. My child told me that he wasn't going to go. He was shaking and crying.
I'm going to object to hearsay.
Sustained.
Your Honor, I think the shaking and crying certainly is not, and I'm not being offered the truth of the matter. And as a proffer of evidence, I'm going to call Caden in that regard.
Well, I'm gonna sustain the objection as to what he said about not wanting to go. The others are observations, so they're not hearsay.
Was Caden willing to go with his father at that time?
No.
And did you make an effort later on to deliver the child in September to Mr. Roth?
Yes, I did.
And did you take the child up to Mr. Roth's home?
Yes, I did.
And would Caden get out of the car?
No, he would not.
And were you present with, in that circumstance, when Caden's father talked to Caden?
Yes and no. Caden was inside the vehicle. I had gotten out of the vehicle and walked away to try to give them some time to talk. But no matter what, Caden refused to get out of the vehicle.
All right. And how long did that go on before you left?
At his house, we were there for at least an hour. I was in Allegan a total of 3 hours, though.
And had you encouraged Caden to go with his father at that time?
Yes.
Based on what Caden had related to you in May, were you concerned for his well-being?
Yes.
And did you make any effort to confront Mr. Roth with the allegations that you received from Caden?
I let him know what Caden had told me, but other than that, no.
Did Mr. Roth deny or verify what you had related to him that Caden had told you?
He denied it.
Okay. And what efforts since May has Mr. Roth made of you in relation to see the child?
Me and him really don't communicate.
Okay. Has the counseling been helpful in relation to any of the difficulties that this family unit has had?
Yes and no.
Tell us what that means.
I feel like it's helping Caden work through his issues. But as far as me and Mr. Roth go, we're still not able to communicate like we should be.
At this point in time, is Caden willing to see his father?
I'm going to object to that question. It's an implication of hearsay that although he's not asking what she's saying, he's asking what the child has told her.
Basically asking what the child is willing to do, Your Honor. You can make the observations in that regard.
I'll let him give if he does observations, but not if any statements.
Based on your observations of Caden, is he willing to go with his father?
To live with him, no.
And are you asking that there's a situation that should be changed in the custody of Caden?
Yes.
And are you asking that you be granted physical custody of the child?
Yes.
And let me ask you, do you have love and affection for Caden?
Yes, I do.
Does he show love and affection toward you?
Yes, he does.
And are you doing things that are demonstrative of the love and affection for Caden?
Yes.
And are you providing education for Caden?
Yes.
And is there religion in your life with Caden?
Caden does go to church.
You say he does or does not?
He does.
All right. And which church do you attend?
He attends the Baptist church down here.
And are you employed?
Yes.
Where are you employed?
Family Dollar.
And how long have you been employed there?
It will be 3 years in July.
And what is your income there?
17 an hour.
And do you have the ability to provide the necessary food, clothing, medical care for Caden?
Yes.
And have you done so?
Yes.
Have you received any support financially from Mr. Roth since May of 23?
No.
How long have you lived at the home that you gave us the address of?
For almost 5 years.
And does Caden have a room there?
Yes.
And does he share it with his brother?
Yes, he does.
How old is his brother?
10.
And what observations have you made as to the relationship between the brother and Caden?
They have a really good relationship.
And do you have any anticipation of moving from that residence?
Not right now, no.
Okay. And who all lives there besides the two boys and you?
My brother.
And how old is your brother?
37.
How is your physical health?
Good.
How's your mental health?
Good.
You said that your son was going to school. What grade is he in?
He's in 8th grade.
And what grades is he getting?
A's, B's, and 1C.
And is that for the last year of 2023-24?
Yes.
Are you aware of a preference that your son has to where he wants to live?
Yes. With me.
Well, okay, you're aware. We're not going to let you say what that is, but you are aware that he has a preference?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. Are you willing to facilitate the relationship of Caden and his father?
Yes.
And are you willing to participate in the counseling that has been set up if, in fact, that is going to facilitate that relationship?
Yes.
Have you become aware of domestic violence in the home of Mr. Roth?
No.
Are you aware of any domestic violence involving Caden with Mr. Roth?
Yes.
Do you have the physical ability to make Caden go with his father?
No.
Have you suggested to him not to go with his father?
No.
Have you made every effort to follow the orders of this court?
Yes.
No further questions this time, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Greenlee-Carr?
Thank you. Ms. Bailey, just to clarify, before I get into my questioning, just a couple questions for you. You indicated that Caden is doing pretty well in school, and you're saying he has A's. How many A's did you say?
3.
And
It's either he has, I want to say 3 A's, 2 B's, and a C, which 3 A's, 2 B's, a C, and possibly a D.
Oh, and a D as well.
I think so, yes.
How was he doing when he was in Allegan Public Schools?
He got straight A's.
Okay. So, and he was on the honor roll, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Um, when Mr. Roth has had sole physical custody of Caden since at least 2014, is that correct? Do you agree with that?
Correct.
Okay. During that time, were you behind on child support frequently?
I did get behind, yes.
Okay. Any idea how many times?
No.
No. Do you
A few.
remember? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know a few.
Okay. So you appeared in court at least a few times on some show cause motions, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, but you're not sure how many?
No.
Okay. But you're stating that now you're gainfully employed.
Yes.
Okay. You indicated that your brother lives in the house with you. What's his name?
Michael
Michael, what's his last name?
Bieber.
And is it in fact true that he's on the central registry?
He might be still, yes.
Okay. And you're aware of that, correct?
Yes.
What is he on the registry for?
For an accusation.
Okay. What accusation?
An accusation of sexual abuse.
Okay. But you believe that Caden is safe in your home with Mr. Sieber?
Yes.
Okay. I want to go back and if your honor is okay with it, I would just to refresh my memory, I'd like to share some of the prior court orders if that's okay.
Go ahead, you can share those.
Ms. Bailey, I'm going to put up the order. This was an order after the hearings that occurred on July 24th and August 7th, and this order was signed on August 16th. Do you remember this order?
Yes.
I can make it bigger for you if you can't see it. Does that help?
Yep, I remember it.
Okay. I'm going to help you with the first line. It says the party shall resume parenting time pursuant to the current parenting time order on Friday, July 28th at 6 p.m. when the minor child will be returned to the father. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And do you also acknowledge that this order also states that the parties shall continue alternating parenting time week on, week off for the remainder of the summer? And then in number 3, at the end of the summer, the minor child shall remain with his father to attend school in Allegan County pursuant to the current parenting time order. Do you acknowledge that that's what that order says?
Yes.
Let's start with number 1 up here on Friday, July 28th. Did you appear on Friday, July 28th to return the minor child to Mr. Roth?
He came here to get him.
Okay. And did you have Caden go out to his vehicle?
Caden refused to come out of the house.
Okay. Did you leave the house?
Yes, I was outside.
Did Mr. Sieber leave the house?
Yes, he did.
Did Mr. Sieber yell at Mr. Roth at all?
Yep. Yes, they did.
Did Mr. Sieber demand that Mr. Roth leave the property?
Yes.
Okay. And did you contact Mr. Roth later on and indicate where and when he could get Caden at that point?
No.
No, why not?
Because Caden refused to leave and the police got involved.
Okay. Going down to number 3 here, this clearly says that the child was to attend school in Allegan County. This order says Allegan County. Why did you then enroll him in school mere weeks after this order was signed in Battle Creek?
He was enrolled before that.
Okay, but this order explicitly says he was to be enrolled in Allegan County. Yes or no?
Yes.
So why did you violate this order?
It was not feasible to be able to get Caden back and forth to Allegan, and Caden refused to go.
Okay, so you admit that you completely violated this order?
Yes. I was afraid for my child.
I'm going to put up here another order dated September 11th, 2023. Do you recognize this order?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm going to go down here to the second page of these where these have paragraphs, and I'm just going to read it. It says that it is hereby ordered that these matters should be set for evidentiary hearing in relation to the contempt motion and in relation to the custody and parenting time motion. So the two motions that are up today. It's also ordered that the current orders of this court are in full force and effect, and that the minor child shall be delivered to the home of the defendant no later than 5 p.m. on September 13th, 2023. It is further ordered that if in fact the child is not so delivered, the plaintiff shall turn herself over to the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department and shall be incarcerated until such time as the child is so delivered as stated above. Do you recognize this order?
Yes, I do.
And what happened on September 13th?
I drove to Allegan. On my way there, my child told me that he will not be getting out of the vehicle.
Objection to hearsay, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I think not for the truth of the matter. She's answering the question.
Well, it is for the truth of the matter as to what happens. The court is going to sustain the objection, strike the answer.
Thank you. Let me rephrase my question, Ms. Bailey. Did you drive to Mr. Roth's home to deliver the minor child on that date?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Is that the first place you went, or did you stop somewhere before that?
I stopped at the police station.
Okay. What time did you arrive at the police station?
I arrived there at 2 o'clock, 2:30.
2:30 on September 13th?
It might have been later.
Okay. Why were you at the police station at 2:30 on September 13th when you weren't supposed to deliver the minor child until 5 p.m.?
I went there. Okay.
I'm going to object to the question, Your Honor. The order does not say at 5 p.m. It says no later than 5 p.m.
Okay. Well, with that clarification, go ahead, Ms. Greenwood-Bohr.
Thank you. Ms. Bailey, why were you at the police station at 2:30 on September 13th?
It could have been later. I'm trying to remember the exact time, but I went there because I wanted their advice on what I should do with the fact, I don't know how to explain it without saying, with my child telling me that, or refusing to get out of the vehicle, I didn't know what to do. So I went there to talk to them to see if they could help me figure it out and see if Mr. Roth would meet me at the police station so it could be a more neutral ground so that maybe Caden wouldn't have a problem getting out there.
So I'm looking at the order here. It says that the minor child shall be delivered to the home of the defendant. Is that correct?
Yes.
And instead of delivering Caden to his father, you took him to a police station.
Yes.
Do you believe that might have aggravated the situation further?
No.
Okay. After you were at the police station, did you in fact go to Mr. Roth's home?
Yes.
Did you have anyone else in the car with you?
Yes.
Who else was in the car with you and Caden?
My brother and my minor child.
Okay. Does Mr. Roth get along with Mr. Sieber?
They did, yes, at one point.
Okay. How about today?
No.
No. Why would you bring Mr. Michael Sieber with you to what's already a volatile situation with your son to exchange?
I needed to have somebody else there with me.
And why is that?
So I had somebody to witness what was happening.
Okay. And why did you bring your other minor child with you to something like that?
Because I couldn't leave him home alone.
Okay. When you, let me strike that. Would you have left your minor child home alone with Mr. Sieber?
Yes.
Okay. But you decided not to do that day.
No.
Do you leave your minor child home alone with Mr. Sieber on a regular basis?
No.
No? Why not?
Because I'm home when they're home.
Okay. Is Mr. Sieber allowed to be alone with your child?
Yes.
Okay. When you finally arrived at Mr. Roth's home, do you know what time it was?
I want to say 5:30, 6 o'clock. It might have been around 5:30, I want to say.
Okay. And when you arrived at Mr. Roth's home, did you have Caden get out of the vehicle?
Caden would not get out of the vehicle.
Did you leave the vehicle to allow Mr. Roth to speak to Caden?
Yes, I did.
Did you have Mr. Sieber and your minor child also leave the vehicle so Mr. Roth could speak to Caden alone?
Yes, I did.
Did Mr. Sieber ever say anything negative or hostile towards Mr. Roth during that exchange?
No,
Did Mr. Sieber ever say anything to Caden during that exchange?
no,
No, so everyone was completely quiet and you left Caden alone with Mr. Roth.
yes,
Okay. And you're saying that Mr. Roth then spoke to Caden while you, Mr. Sieber, and your other minor child were out of the vehicle. Is that what I'm understanding?
yes.
And how long did that happen?
That was probably 45 minutes.
Okay. And at the conclusion of that, Caden still hadn't been delivered to Mr. Roth. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you tell Caden he had to get out of the vehicle and go with his father?
I didn't say nothing.
Okay. So you didn't tell him he had to go with his father, and that's what the order indicated.
I did on the way up there. We had that conversation on the way up there.
But when you finally got there, you made no attempt to enforce that order with your son.
I couldn't
Why couldn't you?
because he was not going to get out of the vehicle. He made that very clear.
But you made no attempt whatsoever when he was finally there to do that. Yes or no?
No,
Okay. After this, when Caden clearly hadn't been delivered, why didn't you turn yourself over to the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department, as this order indicates you were supposed to do?
because I talked to Mr. Schaefer, and Mr. Schaefer said I did what I was supposed to do. That
I'm going to object to hearsay, I think, Your Honor.
Sustained.
So you received some advice somewhere that you didn't need to comply with the order. Is that correct?
That's a misstatement of what you said.
Okay.
That's argument. That's not what the order says.
I'll strike that, and I'll strike that and rephrase. Ms. Bailey, why did you not, without saying what someone's told you, without just stating any hearsay, why did you not turn yourself over to the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department?
because I delivered my child to Allegan.
But then you took him away from Allegan, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put up an order dated October 12th, 2023. Do you recognize this order? I'll zoom in a little bit there for you.
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall that Judge Kirkham ordered that the minor child participate in counseling?
Yes.
Okay. And right after this order, this was back in October of 2023, did you immediately look for a counselor?
Yes, I did.
So this, do you recall, apologize, I'm trying to find the right order here. Do you recall this court having to have a separate status conference regarding your failure to enroll your child in counseling?
Yes.
Okay, do you remember when that was?
No.
Does December 22nd sound correct?
Yes.
So we're looking, this is October 17th that this order was signed. The hearing was October 12th. And between October 12th and December 22nd, you made no progress in getting your son into counseling. Is that true? Yes or no?
I did not.
Okay. When did he finally start counseling?
January
Okay.
or February. It was immediately after the second hearing.
So the second hearing was December 20th, not the hearing, but the status conference, December 22nd. You're saying he started counseling immediately after December 22nd?
And January because of the holidays.
Okay. But you waited another 2 months, is that right, to get him into counseling?
No, that's not correct. I did try. It wasn't a lack of trying, it was a lack of people not counseling places not calling me back, or ones that do not work with the court, or they had a 6 month or longer waiting period.
But
I was
after
trying to.
December 22nd, within weeks, Caden was in counseling, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so that changed in that period of time?
Yes, because the counselor he is seeing now had thought it over and decided that she would help out. She does not normally deal with this type of with the courts and things like that, but she had thought it over and thought that she could possibly help us out.
Okay.
At first, she was not going to see us or Caden.
Do you recall that your motions indicated that Mr. Roth was under a criminal investigation for alleged abuse towards Caden?
Yes.
And that was one of your alleged reasons why Caden couldn't go back to Mr. Roth.
Yes.
Was that true?
Yes.
Okay. When was this alleged police investigation?
In July
Of what year?
2023.
Okay. Is it not true that you actually obtained your temporary order for temporary care of Caden in May of 2023 with the argument that Mr. Roth was actually the one who was going to be subjecting Caden to CPS investigations and investigation by the police?
Yes, but that was for a different incident.
Okay. Is it then true that you then subjected Caden to both investigation and interviews with the police and CPS?
Yes, for a separate incident.
Okay. So you're stating that you're stating two things. You're stating that Mr. Roth couldn't have Caden because he was going to subject him to investigation by the police and CPS, but then you turned around and subjected him to CPS and the police to further your cause. Is that correct?
It was separate incidences. The one that had to do with Caden was charges that could have possibly been brought up against Caden. And then Caden informed me of physical abuse, so it was a separate
Objection
thing.
to hearsay.
Well, she hasn't said what he said. I'll allow her to testify as to what the reason or referral may be.
Okay. What kind of chores does Caden have to do in your home?
Clean his room, help with dishes, and pick up after himself and take out garbage.
Did you provide your son with a new cell phone?
Yes, I did.
Did you provide Mr. Roth with the contact information for that cell phone to reach his son?
Yes.
When did you do that?
Well, he had two separate cell phones. The first one, it was a month after Caden had that phone. The second one was a couple weeks after he had it.
Okay. And when did you provide Mr. Roth with that information?
I want to say back in August
Of 2023?
I think, because that's when I had gotten Caden the phone. So actually, it could have been September.
Okay. So, and that was the first phone or the second phone?
The first phone.
Okay. What about the second phone? When did that come into play?
I got the second phone in February of 2024.
Okay.
February or March.
Did you give Mr. Roth the contact information for that phone right away?
No.
When did Mr. Roth finally get the contact information to reach his son on that phone?
A month after.
Why didn't you provide that information directly to Mr. Roth as soon as Caden got the new phone?
He had my phone number that he could communicate with Caden, and Caden didn't want him to have it.
Okay, so does it, do you agree that it sounds like you were trying to alienate Mr. Roth from his son by not letting him reach out to his son directly and to have to go through you?
No, I mean, because that's how I always had to do it, was go through them.
Did Caden have a phone when he was with Mr. Roth?
No,
Okay, but you provided him with a phone at your home, correct?
yes,
Is that something that you and Mr. Roth talked about, whether Caden was ready for a phone?
no.
What about the school? Have you listed Mr. Roth or given Mr. Roth access to any of the schooling information?
He knows where he goes to school. There is a way, but he has to do it. I can't sign him up for I just got informed that the school said that he couldn't have that information. I did not know that until Saturday, this last Saturday. Otherwise, I would have contacted the school again to let them know that Mr. Roth can have the information.
Had Mr. Roth asked you for that information repeatedly?
No,
No. You didn't think that Mr. Roth should be listed to have access to that information directly on your application for the school?
when it first started, no.
Okay, explain what you mean. So when you enrolled
When,
Caden,
when Yes, when I enrolled Caden and I filled out the app, I did not put Mr. Roth down.
okay. And at the time you enrolled him, you knew that you were violating this court's order, correct?
No, because that was before.
Okay. And do you remember when you enrolled Caden?
Caden got enrolled back in May. I had to enroll him for the following school year.
May of 2023?
Yes.
Let's go back to May of 2023. When Caden was originally out of Mr. Roth's home, was it originally your agreement that he would go and stay with, I believe, an aunt?
Yes.
So you and Mr. Roth agreed that given the circumstances, Caden should go and stay with this aunt until things were figured out in Mr. Roth's home. Is that correct?
Yes.
How long was he with the aunt?
For a night, and then me and Mrs. Roth agreed that as long as my minor child wasn't here, Caden could be in my home.
Okay, when you say your minor child, can we just get a name so we can have the clear record?
Thomas.
Thomas. So as long as Thomas wasn't in your home, then Caden could be there.
Yes.
Okay. But you've mentioned that Thomas and Caden have been together often. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why can't Thomas and Caden, or why was it your agreement with Mrs. Roth, to be clear, Mr. Cody William Roth's current wife, that Caden and Thomas should not be together?
Just a moment, if you could,
Mhm.
Ms. Greenlee Core, would you not stream this and open it?